chase greatness. On today's show, we're going to talk about that and a whole bunch more. Let's rock and roll. Your mind is a beautiful thing, but if left unattended, it can get ugly real quick. If you're not constantly curating the content your mind consumes on a daily basis, then your surroundings will dictate your daily thoughts, habits, behaviors, and actions. This show has only one goal: to leave your mind more beautiful than it was when you arrived. Welcome to the Beautiful Mind Show. Welcome to today's Beautiful Mind Show. It's Jason. You're hanging out with me live today. If you're hanging out with me live, would you do me a favor and comment in the comment section, say live, and then tell me where you are on the line from. I want to know where in the country, where in the world you are hanging out with me live, because today's going to be a great show. And I know that because the dude who I've got on as a guest today has been a longtime friend, longtime buddy, and just, God dang, man, one of the best dudes that I know. I don't say that lightly because this guy pretty much needs no introduction. If you're from the salon world, he is a friggin' legend. And if you're not from the salon world, you may not know who he is, but he will be a legend for you by the end of this call. Please welcome to the call, Chris Baran, Global Artistic Director of Education for Redken. What up, dude?
Hey, how's it going, brother?
Dude, it's so good to have you on. We've been friends now for, I don't know, the better part of around almost 10 years. I think it's in that range, 10-ish, 10 something. Yeah. And like, dude, you're just such a good dude. I love having you on. Your mindset is always refreshing. Your perspective is amazing. And I can't wait to let more people know about you and just more of what you do, because I think it's incredible. So thanks for being on.
Oh, well, it's my pleasure. Absolutely. You know, my thing is like, all I can do is, I'm at the stage of my life, I just want to help other people grow. That's everything that I'm about right now.
Well, and I think, dude, this is the thing. It's like, Chris, I mean, you've been in the salon industry now, I think you said for like 50 plus years, right? This is a lot of time. That's a good chunk of time.
3 if they're doing math.
Yeah. You were 3 years old and now you're starting to get it together. So thanks for pulling that together for us, buddy. But you started when you were 3. You've been in the salon industry for 50 years and you've been teaching and educating. And like, dude, it's like, when I first met you, and some people might know this story, I met you at, I think it was a symposium or a rack. I can't remember which one it was, but I met you at an event. Yeah, met you at this event. And like, I just met you at a dinner table. We were at a Hofbrau in Vegas. And I'm like, this guy's kind of cool. Let's just hang out with him and see what's going on. His fashion's amazing, which, by the way, it looks like you have a really incredible fashion that kind of looks familiar to me. Thanks for making sure that the one of the 12 versions of that shirt that were made, you made sure you brought to today. Thank you. Charity, my wife, has
full price for it.
Thank you. Thanks. You and the 8 other people. I think my wife also was kind and bought one, and my sister bought one. I think that's it. That was the most ridiculous thing. Speaking of other symposiums, right? They occasionally will throw you on a shirt, and that's how it is. I should have worn your shirt today. That's what I should have. I could have worn yours. You could have worn mine. But dude, I meet you at this event. We're hanging out. Chris, great sense of fashion. I'm like, yeah, it's a nice dude. We hung out, we chatted, we whatever. And like, I was just like, this guy's a great guy. He's a really good dude. And then come to find out, I was talking to people. I'm like, I was hanging out with Chris Baran the other day. They're like, oh, the Chris Baran? Like, Chris Baran? And like, people lose their damn mind. And I was like, Chris is like the most humble, normal dude, but you do these exceptional things. And I just say that because like you put together amazing like stage performances in front of 10,000 people year after year after year. You do hair, you get these big awards, you've won all these things. And like but just like your ego is never out of control. You're always in this amazing spot. And like, you just make everybody that spends time with you feel like they are the most important person in the world. And I think if I could get anything out of you today, man, it's like, how the hell do you achieve all of those things and stay the awesome dude that you are? That's what I'd love to get out of today's show.
Oh, well, thank you. And first of all, I want to thank you for that incredible intro that I wrote.
Yes, no problem. I got you. I rehearsed it for a long time.
But you know, part of it is I think you have to go through stages, and if I can be very candid, and if you don't mind, if somebody's going to be offended by a bad word, plug your ears right now because I'm going to use it. But at one point in my life, I when it came to training and things, I was a bit of an asshole, and I think you had to get over that. You had to get through that, because I always feel that as a teacher, you teach the way you were taught. And at that time in the early 60s, there was a very much a hierarchy in the hairdressing industry. And I kind of took that on. And you said I had no ego. And I think that I did build an ego at that time. And you very quickly learn that you turn off people when you can't keep your ego in check. And you can't stop thinking. The moment you don't have your ego in check, you stop thinking of others. You just think about me. What am I going to get out of it? What's in this for me? How do I look? And I think that was probably one of the best things I went through in order to get me to the other side.
It's so big. And I mean, not the ego, but I mean like that comment, right? I think it's just such a really powerful place to be and just say like, how do you do it? And I think you were talking about this because you do some incredible events, like you give back. I mean, you mentioned like this point in your career, you're like, I just want to give back and mentor people. I know you mentor people for a huge show in the hair industry called NAHA. You've mentored people who've won their NAHA awards. And it's just, I mean, it's basically like the Oscars of hairdressing. And, you really spend a lot of time mentoring people, and you run an incredible coaching company that actually does your GPS coaching program, coaches people on how to become better at facilitating and training. Why do you think, Chris, that coaching and training is one of the what is it about getting on stage that checks your ego? What is it about that journey that you take people on that makes them incredible versions of themselves?
All I have to do is go back to my first show and remember my first show. I mean, I think that I have to have a bit of sadomasochistic qualities because my first show that I ever did, when I had this big ego, I living in Canada, they invited me up to Fairmont Hot Springs, and there was other huge names that were on the billboard, and I went, wow, look at, I'm with the big boys, I must be really good. And I stepped on stage. There was a packed house because it was only 3 artists. That shows were big, packed arenas, so everybody kind of you were stuck in the room. And I'm sure the other people that couldn't go to the other room got stuck in my room. And
you had the overflow room.
I had the overflow room, and I was terrified. And by the halfway point, it was like half empty and kept going down and down. So I only had a couple people at the end of it. And I tell you, I've never now imagine having that and then going, that was fun. Let's do this again.
Let's come back to that day.
Yeah.
People walking out of your room.
I thought if I would have left it at that, that I would have accepted that failure and never brought it forward. So it was after that I started pushing forward, but it wasn't until probably a couple of years later that I really got into understanding what training was. And I really feel that training is what's going to shift people's brains. It's going to shift your mind. And to me, that's everything about it. Because it's not that I don't have, I don't get up in the morning and go, oh, today is everything, and I'm going to hold hands with Hat and sing Kumbaya every day. But I do know that it's okay if I have a bad day. And,
sure. We all have bad days.
Yeah. And I just keep thinking, as long as what your number one is, I used to let those bad days bleed into another. But then what I figured is, listen, if I'm doing that, and let's say it was one person or an event or a few people, then I let them win. So I have to shift my mind so that, look at that's just a part of my learning experience. I had to go through that. And I'm just going to take it for what it is, own it, and learn from it, write it down. What do I have to do differently? And then just move on and not let it hit me between the eyes. As I have been, I can remember at the beginning of my career, if I wouldn't win a competition or do something, I would have to go home, roll up in the fetal position, get my wubbies, and try to go to sleep so I couldn't affect, it was stupidity. It's just all in the growth. I think that the more you train, the more you grow.
So I mean, dude, that's it. Like I've been there too. I don't like to lose. I mean, let's be honest. I don't like to go anywhere and you and I were at a show. I was at the ISSE show right before coronavirus last year. And I had an amazing room. I had this huge intro, and I got on stage and I was like, all right, let's rock and roll. Let's open the doors. And there was 2 people standing outside the event waiting to come in. And I went and yelled and got 7 more people to come and join me. And I had this huge room that I thought was gonna be packed out, and it had 12 people on it. And it was that's an ego check, man. That's Yeah, nobody cares. Nobody
Yeah.
cares. It's not about you, man.
Yeah,
And
but
I think,
the difference, I have to stop you there because
yeah,
I want everybody to know that I was in that room, but Jason still put out every bit
I
of
did.
what you still touched people.
Yeah,
You still, I think you
yeah.
pushed harder to get them involved and get them playing. And,
True.
while the attendance might have not have been there, but the success of the program was.
True, true. And I think it's a check, right? It's just that
Yeah.
piece of like, look, you gotta be humble enough to say, look, sometimes there's amazing days, sometimes there's not. I want to talk about the subject of chasing greatness, Chris, because I think that this idea is like, how do you go and find kind of mastery in something that you do? Like, why do you do it? And by the way, I want to talk about this because we're gonna take a quick break, and when we come back, I want to give you a second to think about it. Is I want to talk about chasing greatness. What's the prescription? What are the 2 or 3 things you're like? Whether you want to be on stage, you want to be great in your personal life, you want to be great in your business. What are the things, Chris, that lead to success in your mind? I want to take a quick break, and then we're gonna talk about that when we come back after this short break. Here we go. Would you like to have an even more beautiful mind? Well, we'd like you to have one, and we actually created a 7-day Beautiful Minds Challenge, which is a little bit of a choose your own adventure challenge for just 7 days. And I really think you can do anything for 7 days. It's definitely not easy, but it will be simple for you to get access to it. All you have to do is comment anywhere on this video or send me a message on social media that says 7-day, and I'll send you immediate access to not only our Beautiful Minds Facebook group, but also our Beautiful Minds Challenge, where you can go through 3 different areas: your mental health, your emotional health, and your physical health, and get challenges in each of those areas that'll help you get a handle on each of those areas inside your life to give you more control over what you want to do every single day. So do me a favor, comment 7-day or send me a message, and I'll make sure I give you access to our exclusive community group as well as access to the challenge. Thanks so much, and now back to the show. So that's it, right? If you want to have a beautiful mind, you got to start by creating a path to a beautiful mind. And I want to put up this comment that's on the screen because I'm talking with Chris Baran, Global Artistic Director of Education for Redken. And check this out, Chris. Corey Hassler says, Chris is who I want to be when I grow up. Massive inspiration. Man, I could have you on the show 100 times, and that's the kind of stuff I see every time I have you on. People freaking love what you do.
Yeah, thank you. And thank you, Corey. That was an awesome comment. Thank you so much.
Yeah, and I just want to say, let's talk about this path, Chris. What does the path to mastery look like? You were mentioning this. Talk to me for a second about in order to start creating greatness in your world.
Yeah. Well, first of all, just to start it off, I'll give you here's my motto, and if anybody wants to write it down, they can. And my motto in my life, and it's been, I accidentally found this out. It wasn't that I started off when I was 16
it didn't just come with you.
I just had to look at what happened to my career, and I've discovered that I've just had to fail my way to the top. And that's been kind of where I go at right now. So I think that when I look back at success, it's elusive, and I think that if you look at trying to find something like your success or that place you want to be or whatever that is, whatever it is you want to be in life, I think it's a bit like, I'll give you an analogy. When my son just moved to Palm Springs and Cathedral City, as he keeps correcting me on, and
close.
And we drive, my wife and I drive out there to visit.
And you're in outside of Phoenix.
Right? I'm in Phoenix. Yeah, I'm in Phoenix area, Fountain Hills. And you take the I-10, and it's just a straight line. I swear to God, I'm exaggerating a bit, but you could put it, just point it straight ahead. There's 3 or 4 turns, but other than that, it's a straight line. And that's got nothing to do with what success is like. In my mind, success is more like a meandering path that you would take in the forest. And it's if you look at the paths, there are going to be hundreds and hundreds of forks in the road. And I think what happened to me at the very beginning of my career, I would be afraid to pick the fork in the road. Which way should I go? Rather than just saying, I'm going to go that way. And if it doesn't work out,
just try one.
I can go the other way. It's just as simple as that. Life isn't 2 + 2, but it's also not some geometrical theorem that you can't figure out. You can always go back. You can always start over on that.
Yeah, that's
So
a really good point. Is I think I mean, there's the old saying, right, or the song and everything else. It's there's a highway to hell, but
yeah,
there's infinite paths to success. And I think the idea is like, most people want to get on. They're like, can you please tell me the freeway to infinite success, Chris? Can you just tell me how to
yeah,
get on and I can just put my car in cruise and get there? But I love what you said is this idea of all these forks in the road. Do me a favor, guys, comment forks if you've seen that to be true for you, because I definitely have, Chris. Is people always ask me, they're like, well, what, like somebody asked me the other day, they said, what was the one critical thing that you did that helped you become more successful? And I'm like, one?
yeah,
Like, oh yeah.
yeah,
Oh, here's what it is. I called and I signed up for Geico auto insurance. Like what?
yeah.
Like what is that? There's never one. There's like 1,000 little stupid things that like, oh, I did this day, and I did this day, and then I convinced my wife to marry me, and then I decided to have kids, and I did. It's like there's 1,000 points of decisions that got me to the place that I am today at the level of success that I am. And not that I want to not be further or think that I'm anywhere incredible, but like at the level that I'm at now, there's 1,000 decisions that got me to here.
Yeah.
And there's another 1,000 decisions to get me to the next point.
Yeah.
Why do you think people worry about those decisions so much, Chris? What is it about their mindset? Because I assume when this is on stage, when you're working with people, I know you have like you have a big Chris camp coming up, by the way, if you want to learn how to speak on stage, like Chris Baran, who's masterful at it. He has an event called Chris Camp. If you want more information, comment Chris Camp, because you're doing a digital one, correct? Coming up pretty quick here?
Digital one, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, so you have a digital Chris Camp. If you want to find out more about how to do that, just comment Chris Camp, and I'll have see if either my team or Chris's team can get that. But when you're working with people on stage and they're kind of carving out that path and they're taking these like infinite little decisions, how do you know what one's right? Or do you just said you fail your way forward, you just backtrack?
I wish I would know that, but I don't. It's just, here's what I think. It's easy. Number one, you just evolve by going down a different path in a road, try different things. And then, but it's make a freaking decision. That's the thing that probably stood my way a lot was at the beginning. And people said, well, you're a Capricorn, and that means you're a slow climber, and you're the goat that eventually takes the easy path to success or the long path to success. Well, I don't know anything about astrology, but I said, if that is one thing, I am in the long game, and mine doesn't go up and down. It sort of steady climbs, goes up and down. But however, you got to make a freaking decision, and some of them are going to be wrong. One of the biggest things that I had some amazing mentors in my life, and one of the first ones that I had was a gentleman that I worked for in Central Canada. His name was Bill Ross. I was working for him.
Shout out to Bill.
And he. He said, I remember when he bought the salon from the people that owned it prior, he had a meeting with us, and he just sat down with us and he says, look, I'm going to have to make some decisions in here. Some you're going to agree with, some you won't, but I have to make the decision that I feel is the best for all of you. Now, here's the part that really hooked me in. He said, now I'm going to make some that are right, and you'll see it further. And I'm going to make some that are wrong, and I'll be the first one to tell you that I made a wrong decision, and we'll rethink it and go down a different road. You see it? That's stuck with me forever.
Yeah. Dude, that's good. And I think as a leader, right, I think part of it is you're expected to have the answers like all the time. I think people are like, how dare you make a mistake? Like if you're the leader, you're supposed to not ever make mistakes. And I think that's part of the humility piece that ends up playing out in that piece, Chris, is like when you're humble enough to say, I'm going to make the decision. Sometimes it'll be right. Sometimes it'll be wrong, but I'll make it and I'll live with the consequence of my decision, right or wrong, good or bad, right? I'll do it and move forward. And I think so many people get stuck in that freeze or that flight. It's like fight, flight, or freeze, right? And I think what I'm hearing you say is fork, flight, fright, and freeze. Like take a fork, like take some action and use that fork and like just take one, because if you just freeze up and go like, oh God, left or right, what am I going to do? No matter what it is, that's not helpful. If you run away from the decision and say, well, I can't do it, I'm just not going to make that decision, that's not helpful. So sometimes it's just about making progress, which I think is simple, but it really is, that's it. Right?
Yeah. And, what just came to my brain as well, and at my addled gray, lots of gray matter up there.
Gray beard and gray matter.
The other thing that sticks with me is you have to evolve. You know, you've got to evolve. You can't stay. And I'm going to give you a really simple analogy. I used to be heavily involved into competition, in hair competitions. I, even had the honor of being at what they called the hairdressing Olympics. And no, I didn't win. No, I was like the Jamaican bobsledder. No, nothing like that. It wasn't that great for me. However, what I learned from being in competition is that you had to evolve as you went along. And while I was in, here's where I'm going to give you the analogy. When I was in these local competitions in the cities that I was in, I would watch people win, and then they would come back, and then they would win again, and then they would win again. And then all of a sudden they weren't even in the running, and they would still be trying to compete like 3 to 4 years later.
The same way.
Same thing, doing the same thing. And so
like
then
a one-trick pony.
Yeah, exactly. You've got to evolve. Like I started off as, when I was in Canada, I was the design guy. I've always been progressive in the work that I do, and I would do design, I would do avant-garde, and that's what they knew me for. When I came to the States, I got put into the position of, because I did all these props and things, I became the perm guy, if you want to figure out the era. 80s.
Fancy.
It was the 80s, and I was the perm guy. Then I became the perm guy and the color guy, and then I became the design guy again all of a sudden, and then the avant-garde guy again all of a sudden. So it went kind of full circle. And now my life has been the training guy, because I guess they see you sticking around doing all of those things. And then finally, other people put you into a position where they say, look, you're constantly evolving. And I know that with your history, you've got this. So how can you help me with that? And so that's kind of where you could bring it back full circle. What we talked about at the very beginning was that there comes a point in your life where you evolve but then you've got this amazing opportunity to evolve other people. And I'll tell you, it beats the crap out of evolving you. And you can help somebody grow. Totally. I'll give you this, and I hope, stop me if I'm talking too much.
No, you're fine. You're good. You're good.
I was fortunate enough the last number of years, I've been one of the judges for what's called Beauty Changes Lives. And it's a thing where they get young students that send in a video, some of their work for whatever they do at the time, and then some of the leaders in the industry, you judge their work, and then they get a scholarship for the school. And I love doing that. So I watch these videos, but there was, how when you watch a video and you say, I want to do something, I can help that person. And so this young kid is, I won't say his name right now just because he may get embarrassed if I tell it to him, but his video that he told me was so authentic and so real, and so in a position of not asking for help, but you knew he wanted and needed help. I went, if you're ever going to pick somebody that you're going to mentor, then I actually got his phone number, connected with him through Beauty Changes Lives, and we've been mentoring him ever since. So
love it.
It's a beautiful thing when you can help somebody grow and become better, because you can help them avoid the mistakes that you make.
So I want to recap this and make sure I got it right in my mind here, Chris. Path to mastery, path to greatness. Number 1, fail a lot. Like a lot. Number 2, pick a fork. Don't get stalled out on making decisions, because you can always backtrack and go again, and own your mistakes as much as you own your failures. That's a big one. And then number 3 is mentor and give back. mentor and give back and do that. I think I flip-flop. There's one more in there. So I'll say 3/4 was also continue to evolve and grow and do something different. Don't stay static, continue to evolve. That's why you've been there for the better part of 50 plus years. I mean, I think all those things are clutch. And if you're trying to grow and grow to a level of mastery, grow to a level of greatness, you got to evolve. You got to pick those forks. You've got to give back. And Chris, I know that you run, as part of what we do for our High Performance Salon Academy, we do training for salons all over the world. You run one of the best associate programs on planet Earth that you do. And also with your Chris Camp, you provide training for some of the most amazing salon owners on planet Earth. Where can people go to get information about that stuff, Chris, just so that they know if they want to come to Chris Camp, maybe you got a hookup for them. Where can people go and get some information, regardless of where they are, if they want to come check it out? And if they're in the industry, if they're in the salon industry.
All you have to do, if you want to come to Chris Camp, just go to bit.ly/Chris Camp, and that'll take you to the site. And if you quite frankly, guys, just because you've helped me so much in my career, I want to help your peeps. If they do enroll, wherever they enroll at, and I think today is the last day for the early bird pricing, but I'll automatically upgrade them. And
dude, that's awesome.
Yeah,
that's huge. Thank you for doing that.
And the other thing is if it's about the associate program.
By the way, I am a speaker at said Chris Camp.
Yes, and I and one of the things that helped me so much is what I have you speaking on there. That's why I'm super excited.
Yeah, it's gonna be good. So it should be super good. So we'll drop that in the comments section. And if any of you guys want more information on Chris, just say more info in the chat, and I'll make sure that Chris gets all of your details to get that in there. Chris, as always, it's a pleasure to have you on. It's just been awesome to know you for as long as you have. And every time you speak about kind of the humility in which you operate from and the way in which you've learned, it just inspires me to want to be a better person, which is why I know people continue to be inspired by you every day. Thank you for all that you do, how big your heart is, and all that you give. I'm just grateful to know you every single day. Thank you so much, man.
Well, that's mutual, my friend. Thank you.
Awesome. Have a great day. Thanks for joining the show today, guys. Take care. Thanks for joining us on today's show. If you want to get access to our 7-day Beautiful Minds Challenge, you can either comment below and just say 7-day, and I'll shoot you the information so you can get immediate access to that, or find me on any social media and just send me the message 7-day, and I'll make sure I get that out to you right away. And if you really enjoyed today's show, it would do me a huge favor if you went online, whether it was Spotify, Pandora, or iTunes, or any sort of podcast platform that you can find us on, and search for The Beautiful Mind Show, subscribe to our channel, and then make sure you give us a rating. Every time you give us a rating, it helps us get more eyeballs on our show and help more people have a more beautiful mind. Thanks again for joining us.